Hi guys, I made this complete dress for a client, but in today's tutorial I'll be showing you how to achieve the gong sleeve in the most simplest way. If this sounds like what you're interested in learning, keep on watching. Let's get started. I have all my materials on top of the table. I have my Ankara print. I actually went for the exact material. Thank God I saw that. I have my lining and I have my fusible interface. This is the medium gum stay. That is what I'll be using. And I also have my hemming gum. Now this hemming gum, I'll be using it to fuse this medium gum stay into the fabric, because sometimes the gum that it comes with does not really gum to the fabric. Okay, I have my chalk for outlining my lines and my ruler. Now the first thing I'm going to do is to bring in my dress. Can you see the dress on top of the table? And now I'm going to measure all around the round armhole. Okay, so you can see the way I'm measuring it. Now after I was done measuring, I had 10.5 inches. This means that my round armhole is 21 inches, right? And now I'm going to bring in my fabric. I'll folded this fabric into two. Now some fabric, the front and the back, that is the actual front, the good face and the wrong face, usually look the same. So by the time you cut off that name written on the fabric, you might not be able to indicate the right side and the wrong side, so you try to use your chalk to indicate that. Okay, now the height of this fabric is 17 inches and the weight is about 37 inches. What you have to do is to note your round elbow or your round sleeve, and then you times it by 2. But what I did was my round elbow divided by 2 times 3, because it's going to be a free sleeve, like it's going to be big. So now I folded my fabric into 4 again. So first of all, I folded into 2 and then folded again. Can you see? So that I will have 4 folds, because we are cutting out the 2 part of the sleeve at once. Now from the top of my fabric, I'll be coming down by 2 inches. Now this is going to be serving as my puff allowance, okay, because the sleeve has like a little puff. Now from there, I will now start inputting my cap height. So my cap height is my round bust divided by 12 plus 0.5 inches, and I got 4 inches. Okay, so now after this, from the 2 inches mark, I also went down to the length of my sleeve. This sleeve is going to be on the elbow length. Okay, so this is what I am trying to get, and I will rule the line across. Now after this, next thing I will do is to divide my round armhole into 2 and then input it on the cap height line, which is 10.5 inches, and then I would connect it to the green line, okay, which is the starting point. Now after that, I'm going to divide that line into 2 and then go up by ½ an inch. Can you see what I'm doing now? After that, this is how I'll be connecting that. This is the simplest way to cut out your basic sleeve, you guys. Okay, now because this is going to be a pop sleeve, look at what I'm doing. I'm now going to connect it to the upper part, which is the 2 inches that I actually came down from the top of my fabric. And you see, now I'm going to measure. You can see I have my 10.5 inches plus extra allowance, which I'm going to plait to give it that puff effect. Now after this, I'm going to move over to the elbow line, and I'll be dividing my elbow into 2 plus some inches, because you want that particular point to be free. Okay, and yeah, I added extra 3 inches after dividing my elbow by 2, and then added my 1 inch seam allowance, connected the points together, and you can see I'm trying to cut it out. Now I've cut out my round armhole. I'm cutting out the side, and after that I'll cut out the hemline. Now before I cut out the hemline, remember you have to turn your sleeve with a lining, so you need to add your turning allowance. Okay, so I added 1 inch and then connected it across, and now I'm trying to cut it out. Now after this, next I will go ahead and open it up for you guys to see. So already I have my 2 sleeve cut out, so I'm going to like keep it aside and I'll be bringing in my lining. So the exact thing I have on this particular Ankara print is what I'm going to be cutting out for my lining piece. Okay, so this my lining is folded into 4, like is on 4 folds. Now I'm going to place in my Ankara print, which is my actual sleeve, and I'm going to follow exactly what I have right there to cut out my lining. Okay, so you can see I'm trying to cut it out right now. Now after cutting it out, I will go ahead. Remember I added extra 1 inch, right, for my folding allowance. Now I'm going to fold in that 1 inch, and then I would now cut out the hem of my lining. Okay, this will help the down parts to like come out right. The lining will not be showing after turning it. If you're a tailor already, you understand what I'm trying to explain. Okay, so I am done with this. Now it is time for us to cut out the fusible interface. Now you have to pay good attention as how I'll be cutting this out. Now I'm going to fold it into 4. All right, because we are cutting everything for each of the sleeve, right? I folded into 4 and I'm going to cut exactly what I have on my fabric. Okay, so you can see I'm trying to cut it out. Now after cutting out, I am now going to show you how to make this perfect, so that by the time you place it on your fabric, okay, it will not be too strong. Like you don't want it right at the upper part and at the down part and also on the seam line. All right, so you guys can see what I have cut out. Now I'm going to, like, from the upper parts I'll be minusing 0.75 inch. Can you see what I'm doing? So I'm using my tape and my chalk to indicate that. Now after marking this out, I'm going to cut it out. Can you see? Now after doing that, I will probably do the same thing to the side, because we don't want this to enter into the side seam. Okay, so that the fabric can be a little bit soft. You know that the gum stay, like the gum stay is always hard, even though I'm using the medium gum stay, but I don't want it on the side seam right at the upper part and the down part, because we are also going to turn the down part. Now to the down parts I removed about ½ an inch. Okay, can you see? So I have cut this out and I'm going to open it up and then bring in my fabric, place it into it so that you guys can see exactly what I've been trying to explain. Okay, so here is my actual fabric. I'm now going to open up this and then place it so you can see. Can you see what it looks like? Okay, so you can see that the peplum gum has been removed from the upper part, from the side, and on the down parts. Okay, so now I'm going to go fuse with my gum stay. I'm going to go fuse the peplum stay into the fabric, the wrong part of the fabric, please. So I'm going to shred the gum stay and then use it to gum the fusible interface. And even on the lining I added a tissue gum, which is the lightest type of interface. Okay, now I am done with all of this. Next I'm going to turn this with my lining. Now to turn it, I'm going to start from the down part, so I'll be stitching with ½ an inch. After that I will notch it and then we back stitch, like I'm going to top stitch on it on the lining, and then you can see I am done with that, and this is what I have. Now the next thing I'm going to do is either you are going to fold it like this and then sew the sides. Okay, and then that means your seam allowance is going to be visible, right? But I don't want it to be like that. I don't want to sew mine like that. I want to be able to have my seam allowance hidden. So you can see the way I'm going to sew this. So I'm going to sew the actual fabric separately, and then the lining is going to stay separately. Now, as you can see, I have stitched on the side seam. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the right side. So I'll try as much as possible. It might feel difficult to do that because you already have a gum stay on it. Okay, so try as much as possible to pull up the lining to meet with the actual fabric. They must align properly. Okay, and after turning that, you will notice that the lining will be a little bit inside and the fabric will shoot out. Can you see? So this will help the lining not to come out of the fabric by the time you are done sewing this. Okay, that was the essence of shortening the lining while I was cutting out the lining. Okay, now I am done turning it, as you can see. Now the next thing I'm going to do is move over to my sewing machine, and I will sew on the both lining and the actual fabric. So I will sew on the upper parts. All right, just to hold the two together. That is what I will do. So guys, you can see I am done stitching them, and this is for my two sleeves. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to go fix this to the actual dress. I hope you understand. So I'm going to measure and then indicate. Now you're going to start from the underarm to stitch, and once you're getting to the upper parts of the shoulder, you go ahead and plait the remaining fabric that is left there. So guys, this is it. This is exactly how to achieve your gong sleeve. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I will see you in my next one.